All right, well, we had a good run of driving videos, so you know what that means. We're fixing stuff. So a few of you have actually asked what happened to this car, because I was just driving it all the time and then nothing. So yeah, we ended up with a problem, and that problem I'll find right now. So the other week, I was a few weeks ago now, I was on my way to pick up Jesse. We're going for a drive. I started the car, was running good. I had it idling for a little bit, and I drove it down the road, and then all of a sudden it was running on 5 cylinders just out of nowhere. I was just cruising along, and yeah, just dropped 1 cylinder. So I drove the Jesse's, and I initially just thought it was a spark plug. It had been idling for a while. The AFRs are perfect, but that was my first thought, maybe because it was idling for so long on cold and whatever, it might have fouled a plug up. Unlikely, but that was my first thought. So we pulled the plug out, plug's fine. Swapped the plug with another cylinder, and it still stayed on the same cylinder. So so then yeah, it's a different problem. So anyway, we checked a few other things, and then we come to the conclusion that it was this little guy. So this little guy ended up failing, and these were brand new. I bought them off Facebook, unfortunately. A little bit annoyed because I bought them as a direct fit, and I know that these aren't a direct fit, but these were too short. If you've seen the other video, so I had to shorten the rail, which I was a little bit annoyed about, but it works out better anyway. But yeah, this little thing failed. So what I done is I come home, I pulled this one failed injector out, I took it into Independent Motorsports in Morwell, and I just said, he's got an injector flow machine. I said, oh, just test it and see if it's blocked or anything. He rings me back and just says, these are Chinese rip-off injectors. So that was annoying. Bought them as genuine Bosch. So yeah, I've learnt my lesson. I've learnt this lesson a few times, so it's a lesson for you. Important stuff: injectors, fuel pumps, I don't know, whatever else. Important stuff, just buy it from someone genuine. So when he rang me and said that, I just said, righto, you just order me a genuine set of Bosch injectors, the same as these. So he ordered them in. They've been sitting here for a little while. That was the main cause. Then I spoke to him, and he said he wanted to run it up on the dyno again, just with the new injectors, just to make sure everything was sweet. So then I thought, if it's going on the dyno anyway, I may as well change the exhaust housing on the turbo. I initially wasn't going to change it because honestly I was happy with how it drove. Like, it was super aggressive off the bottom. It was just fun to drive. So I sort of thought, I'll just leave it because I couldn't be bothered. But the fact that it has to go back on the dyno, I thought, stuff it, I'll change exhaust housing. So I talked to Teo at Hypergear, where the turbo's from, and I said, this is what I want to do. I sent him all the dyno sheets. He was pretty impressed with it. And I just said, I just want to go up a couple housing sizes and just see what it does. See if we can hopefully not lose too much at the bottom, but gain a little bit up the top. So that's the idea behind it. So what I've done is, this is the old 0.63 housing, and we've gone to a 0.82. So I had to pull the turbo off and send it back to him, and then he machines up the inside of the exhaust housing, and then he sent it back. I got it ceramic coated down at Race Coatings in Warragul. Again, quick turnaround, was like a day. So that was very handy. I have the new set of injectors here, which I've got to get in. Up. Fresh injectors, bolt the turbo on. I don't have my laptop with me today, but because I've got to change the injector data a little bit, but I'll start it up and then hopefully get it on the dyno before Christmas. He's pretty busy down at Independent, but hopefully he can squeeze me in because it shouldn't take too long to run back up. So we'll get this on, and I'll get the rail out, and we'll sort it out and then make stuff happen. I do really enjoy pulling this turbo on and off. That took a whole of like 15 minutes to get it back on. So another little thing I've done is always, because the 4 bolts that bolt the turbo to the manifold, the studs, you always get a little bit of movement. So what I've done before I actually done these the 4 nuts up for the turbo, I actually done the V-band up. So at least then the V-band will square, the clamp will square the exhaust housing to the turbo to the dump pipe. It'll square it all up, clamp it together where it was originally made, so that should seal it up perfectly. And then I've done up the 4 bolts. So rather than trying to use the V-band to tweak the dump pipe into place, you just line it all up in the V-band and then just bolt it down where it's happy. So another little tip for you. So yeah, I'm going to kick it in the guts, and it's hopefully going on the dyno one night during the week. So all going well, all in this same video, you will see some dyno action. Well, that's that. It's purring pretty good. I should have changed the injector data like I said earlier, but it'll be right for now. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I'll just change it when Stuffy will change it when it's on the dyno. So yeah, hopefully we should be able to cut to a dyno clip straight after this. Well, we got some good news. So we're off to the dyno, which is very thankful to be able to get it in before Christmas. So I'm going to cruise there now and see how it goes. Alright, here we are, Independent Motorsports. So if you've watched all my other dyno videos, you'll know that this is where I come to get my cars dynoed. He's been doing it for like 8-10 years for me. So I've always come here. He's always done an awesome job. They are actually on social media, so Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. They post pretty constantly, so check them out if you have to. But let's get this thing on the dyno and see what it does. Well, what we're looking at here now is a comparison to when it was on the dyno the other week, about 6 or 7 weeks ago. I'll link that video above somewhere, so keep an eye out for that. So yeah, comparison to last time, which was 279 kilowatts and 638 newton meters, to this time, which is 308 kilowatts and 736 newton meters. So if you follow the blue line, that is today's dyno run, and the red is the previous one. The line with the dots in it is the torque, and the straight line is kilowatts. So as you can see, the mid-range has fattened up nicely. There's a lot more mid-range. It certainly peaks a little bit further up in the RPM. It lasts a little bit longer. You can see what we've lost in the bottom, where the red line, both red lines come on a little bit sooner in the RPM, but there's about I don't know, like 150 RPM difference there. Like, it's minute. Driving the car, I couldn't even tell the difference. So it just felt exactly the same off the bottom. And the dyno sheet shows that it's pretty bloody similar. And certainly the mid-range was heaps better, and it still felt like it was holding power heaps higher in the RPM. Cracking 300 kilowatts was just a bonus, really. I'm not overly interested in the numbers, to be honest. It's just more the drivability. But as you can see from the way that the shape of the lines, it comes on pretty aggressive, but it is fun. But the drivability of it and how fat the mid-range is makes it a real nice car to drive. And yeah, holds the power throughout and revs right out, but still has a nice mid-range and comes on nice and early. So don't worry about the bottom graph, that's torque. The top graph is boost. So you can see the blue line comes on a little bit later. Yeah, it's about, I don't know, about 200 RPM. It ramps up similar onto 19 PSI, and then at about 3,000 RPM, 2,800, ramps up to about 21, and then slight peak at 22, and then, yeah, pretty much 21 the whole way till the top of the RPM. So unreal result. 308 kilowatts is awesome. Like, I'm glad it cracked the 300 kilowatts. Yeah, I can't wait to take this thing out for a drive. All right, well, that's job done. Assuming I've already talked you through the dyno sheets and that, that's how we went. So 308 kilowatts, 730 something newton meters, is absolutely awesome. So I've just done a quick drive around on the road, and yeah, it's unreal. The bigger rear housing, honestly, I don't even notice it driving it. Like, it feels pretty much the same coming on, but the mid-range is heaps fatter, and yeah, it doesn't drop off up the top as bad, and you can just certainly feel that when you rev it out. It's still pulling at 5,000 RPM. So super happy with it. Once again, huge thanks to Stuthy at Independent Motorsports. He's been an awesome help. He always is. So yeah, I like going there. He does a brilliant job. So yeah, he's got a full workshop, does all sorts of stuff, motor builds and everything. Dyno, he's got a chassis dyno and a hub dyno. So they're in Morwell. If you any performance stuff, go and hit him up. You can get parts and everything. So yeah, massive thanks to him. And that pretty much wraps it up. I don't know when I'll be driving this next. We're coming into Christmas and I'm just flat out. So probably won't be able to drive it till the new year, but I'm looking forward to taking this thing out and giving it a hard time. So until then, we'll see you on the next one.
Gonna have to give it to her.